Hello. It's been a while since I've talked about video games on the internet. Usually, the space is reserved for a podcast that my best friend and I record. Due to some life events and, of course, this global pandemic, we haven't had a chance to get together to record any podcasts as of late. So I thought I would just sit down and give some thoughts of a game that I just tried out, and that game is called Ghostrunner. I stumbled across this on YouTube. Had a pretty slick trailer, and they said there was a demo available to download right away, so I headed over to Steam and downloaded the demo, and my first playthrough of the game was probably about 40 minutes. And I was pretty impressed by it. I came away feeling pretty good about the game. It's kind of a mix between Mirror's Edge and Hotline Miami. Mirror's Edge comparisons will be pretty obvious because you're in this first-person perspective and you're hopping around using your kind of parkour moves, and the movement is very fluid and very quick. And then the Hotline Miami comparison comes into play when the gameplay, it seems like a puzzle in a sense, because you're basically maneuvering these spaces and hopping from wall to wall, and then you encounter these enemies which act more like obstacles than actual like AI enemies. Like they're pretty straightforward in terms of they'll stay pretty stationary and kind of shoot at you from afar, and you're equipped with this dash move, which becomes really important because you need to time that dash in a way that will get you out of harm's way in order to get a quick kill, which sounds pretty simple, but when you have three enemies kind of in one section and you need to keep your momentum going, it becomes this kind of muscle memory thing where you need to kind of hop between enemy and enemy and kill them right away. You die pretty easily and you respawn very quickly. Beyond the kind of slow down time mechanic, you're introduced with a grappling hook towards the latter end of the demo, and that adds another kind of unique aspect where not only are you kind of running along walls and jumping between platforms and kind of dashing out of the way from enemies shooting at you, you have this grappling ability, so you can kind of swing kind of mid-jump to a platform or into an enemy to kind of take them down. All the combat is melee-based, so you're armed with this kind of ninja sword, and the killings are pretty gruesome, pretty over the top. You kind of slice and dice your way through the enemies. And the setting of the game and the visual kind of style, it's very gritty, very cyberpunk, very Blade Runner-esque. The game has this kind of level of film grain, which I'm on the fence of whether I like it or not. It kind of looks really noisy, but it does add kind of a mood and atmosphere to the game, which without that grain, I don't know how it would kind of look. It ran pretty well on my kind of measly PC setup, so the performance is pretty good. And I do believe this game has RTX support if you have a graphics card that supports it. As far as the story, it's pretty slim. You're kind of guided by this AI sentient voice in your head that's kind of guiding you to escape this prison. The demo ends with kind of a reveal of this person that's talking to you, or this AI. I'm not too sure whether it's human or not. but it's enough to kind of string you along and keep you going through. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty excited with how this game looks and how it plays, and I would definitely be interested in checking it out when it releases. They have a planned release date of sometime this year. The developer I haven't heard of before, but I do believe 3D Realms is involved in some way or another, which was the only kind of notable name that I was able to see on the credits. But yeah, check out Ghostrunner. It says the demo is only available until May 13th. So depending on when you hear this, that demo may or may not be available. I'm going to post a YouTube video as well as a podcast audio-only episode of this review. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, hop onto our YouTube channel to take a look at some gameplay. And all that information can be found at secondplayerpressstart.com. Like I said, this is something that I want to do a bit more often until Darren and I can get back into a normal podcasting routine. So as always, I will say goodnight.